Messages are live. And let's see. Oh, there it is. It's up. It's up on YouTube. Check to see if I have to grab these little stupid headphones because mine broke, and they don't seem to work any better. Oh, there we go. Maybe. Yes, they do work. All right, let's see. Oh, I got chat. Let me see. I forgot to turn my chat on. Oh, there we go. Arc is on here. No one else yet, though. And again, sorry for the tiny headphones, but my good ones broke. So anyone that's on TikTok, just move over to my YouTube or my Facebook, depending on your choice of things. But yeah, so I have 0. And how many do I have here? I have 3. I have 3 on TikTok. So here, I'm gonna take the headphones off so I don't feel muffled, and I'll leave the TikTok up until those guys arrive. Unless I sent them the wrong link, which I have been known to do once in a while. Yeah, so there's here I can. I gotta rearrange. These guys. This one here. My Ezra helmet. Not 100% happy with it, but it came out okay. If you notice, it's a little warped in there, but it came out all right. It's not as pretty on the inside. At first, I was going to try to make it really, really pretty on the inside, but it, it came out like the weathering. I'm very happy with the weathering. That's always the scariest part because you have to then sand and beat up. And then this is a Waltz Trooper Factory helmet, which is a very nice helmet. The only thing I don't like about Waltz is that seam down the middle. You can see it. You can see it a little bit. I mean, I did a pretty decent job of filling it in. But my fat head won't fit in it. But it came out. I'm pretty happy with it. It's just a display piece. Someone was selling it. I think they got in over their head. With, like I said, with the Waltz, it's split down the middle. You really can see the split here in the top, which I don't like. I hid this one. I don't know. I think this top piece, the top piece was split too. But the plus side to the Waltz stuff is, it does give you beautiful detail and stuff. It's just that split, especially if you're doing a white one. If you're doing a regular one, then if you paint this, since it's ABS, you have to paint it because it has a split down the middle. Since you have a split down the middle, you have to paint the whole thing. So I again I forget the other company that makes them, I think does a better job for whole suit. Because if you do a Waltz, which are really nice, you then have to think about, well, I should probably have to paint the whole armor, or your head, your helmet's not going to match your armor. So it depends on what you want to do. But Studio Creations is who I would probably go with helmet if I was going to build armor. I see Ken is here. So I am going to leave TikTok now, guys. So if you just came here, let me see. Yeah. Well, Forda is good. I have the helmet. I just got to get my button gear. I'm going to turn Ken on. Here, that sounds weird.
Hello. I can't believe you brought me into the show like that, but here I am.
Hey, man. Sorry. I'm going to turn my TikTok off, so I got to send all my TikTok people our way. So later, TikTok people.
Are those your TikTokers?
Yeah, I had like 15 at one point, but it
That's
dwindled down to. I had 369 views in that short amount of time, so
that's fantastic.
I can't complain.
Hey, good to see you, Art.
Yeah, Ark was in there. He was in there.
Are you hearing an echo from my side?
No, are you hearing it from mine?
When I talk, I hear my echo.
Now you sound perfect.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I was looking at I downloaded our first episode ever that we did, and I was going to put it on Anchor, and the download time, because it was so long, was 4 hours. So I download it and then I'll extract the audio and try it. So
Ark is saying he hears an echo.
Ark hears an echo too? From you? I don't hear an echo from you. Is it? I wonder if it's my end. Oh, you know what? Let me make sure.
Which is kind of funny because in the Rad Batch I portray echo.
Here, I wonder. Let me see. Because I have an extra window open. So no, that's off. I hear a hum.
From my microphone?
No, I think it's mine. It could be these headphones. Hang on, let me switch back to my old junky one.
Hopefully Ark's been up to something fun lately.
Is that better?
Let's see. Hey, Echo, do you hear an echo? Or Ark, do you hear an echo? It still sounds a little weird from my side.
Yeah, I got rid of the hum, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to just fix my mixing board. As much as I love this giant mixing board, I'm gonna go to my newer one that's USB driven, I think. No echo. Okay, so it was probably those headphones.
Okay.
All right, so I don't know. Was John running late? I
hadn't heard.
So he could, life got in the way. Maybe he got hired by Lucasfilm to run their TikTok or something, and
that's possible.
Away.
I mean,
I'm just going to pretend
social media folks.
Let's just pretend that's the case until he gets here.
Start that rumor.
Yeah.
So he's headed out to the West Coast this weekend to start that new job with Lucasfilm.
Right. That's it. That's where he's at. So he's packing. He's packing right now.
Trying to figure out how much I can fit in the vet.
All right. Yeah. That's that. I tell you, the vet would keep you you'd have to learn how to pack. That's for sure.
He's going to start the minimalist life.
Right. Well, I think whatever your hobbies are, as much as you'd like to think your jobs bend your life around those, almost as much so, if not more so sometimes, as your hobbies. Your life at a certain age, when you're younger, you don't really have a choice, but it's weird what I will like. I will balk over buying a $15 dress shirt, but then look at $150 Mandalorian bucket and think, I already have a lot, but I could use one more. So,
well, speaking of helmets, did you see that they're releasing a Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet from the Black Series?
I did see that. If it goes along the lines of all the helmets that have been released, then that's really good.
I didn't see the price of it, but I did see a couple pictures of it. It looks nice.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be around the 150 range. Like 120. What's the retail of this Black Series helmets?
It really depends. I mean, they had one of the X-Wing helmets I thought was like $90.
Right, but I think their retail is like $129 or something like that. Is what no one sells them at the suggested retail price, but I think that's what.
And everything has gone up. I mean, even the things at Disney World within the last 2 weeks have changed prices. So the lightsabers, you could get not one of the savvy the savvy's ones have gone up as well, and the legacy sabers that you can just buy in Doc Ondar's shop, they've gone up. I think it's to 250 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot, but when you think about how stuff gets marked up in parks, that's not as much of a markup as you would think. Because think about
Well, I mean, it's an increase from what it was. So
right.
It used to be like 199 or something like that.
Right, but I'm saying like for what they used to sell them like at Target for, like the Black Series or whatever those lightsabers they had years ago.
The FX ones.
Yeah, they were pretty pricey for that long ago. Because weren't they like $100 or 125 or something like that?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. So and that was like 7 or 8 years ago or more when they were out and about.
Well, and they're still doing them. They came out with Emperor Palpatines. They came out with Darth Revans, Kit Fisto. I don't know. I can't remember. I know they did a Count Dooku and Asajj. You could pick those up at GameStop.
Oh, okay. There you go. Marty's on. Hey, Marty's on. Marty, I can have you join in. Marty has some really nice sabers here. I gotta see if I can. That's if you need a saber and he has extras, his sabers are beautiful. I'm gonna send you a link in the chat. Let's see. Maybe it works. Yeah, go to your Facebook, Marty, and I'll send you a link. If you're not doing anything, he might be working. So here, we'll do costume corner, Ken, while we're waiting to see what Marty's doing.
Sure.
So
I did that acetone spot putty.
How'd that work?
It worked out really, really well. And I did that on Saturday. I went to a Rockerdon armor party and I tested it out. One of the cool things I liked about it was because you apply it with a brush instead of just rubbing the schmutz on whatever it is, rubbing the putty onto whatever surface that you're trying to apply it to, the brush gives you so much more control.
Now, did you use like a foam brush or like a paint, like a
paintbrush? Yeah, it was the disposable ones that have the metal brush handle.
Oh, they like used to come in glue.
Yes, similar.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Similar.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just bought a whole bunch of those.
Yeah.
Because the Bondo ends up getting all caught in the bristles, so it's I think it'd be more trouble than it's worth. And I'm not usually a fan of buying things that I know I'm going to deliberately throw away, but in this case, I made an exception.
Right.
And it worked out really, really well. And then later that day, so that was on Saturday when I got home, because I'm a nerd, I was watching a YouTube video. Hey, what's up, Mike? Good to see you, John.
Because I'm a nerd, I was watching a YouTube video.
All right.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
We got. Hang on. So here, we'll hear your brush. Where Marty is here. I know what Marty's going to say about cleaning the prints, but we're going to finish Ken's cleaning the print. So he used the Bondo acetone. Now, did you have to put that mixture in a like an acetone
paper bowl?
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had to have it like in a glass bowl, because I made a mistake of mixing in the wrong material, and it was like that Breaking Bad episode where he melted the guy in the bathtub.
Yeah, it was just I used a Dixie bowl, like a paper bowl that you get like for a picnic or something.
Oh, okay.
And then later that day, I saw a YouTube video where they did the same process, except they thinned it down a whole lot more, and they used a really inexpensive airbrush from Harbor Freight.
Oh, okay.
And they sprayed it on the mask.
My biggest fear with any of those people that spray stuff like that, if you don't have the right respirator when you're making like acetone and all that other stuff like a mist, then like we hear like 3 years later you have to have a device like Saw Gerrera, to breathe or something like that. So here, so Marty's here. Marty is
Hello.
Our resident Chewbacca slash. What is that red thing, Marty? What are you?
It's a caliper thing for my Tesla.
Oh my goodness! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! The caliper, like what?
It's a caliper cover for my Tesla.
Oh, okay.
So we've now switched over into
car time.
car time.
No, I just logged. I'm on YouTube while I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh, there's Mike and them. So I'm like, and then Mike sent me an invite.
At first, I thought it was like you were doing like some kind of fancy remote control. I thought it was going to be like you got a big remote control.
No,
so
I just. You were talking about lightsabers. The Master Replica lightsabers. I've had them. I have the original Anakin one from 2001, and that I got for $150, and that's worth money now because it's the original Anakin Episode 2 lightsaber hilt with a longer lightsaber, and I've gotten like all of them. I had Luke, Obi-Wan, Darth Vader. The Master Replica ones were better than the Hasbro because they were just better quality. And they were always like $150. And now the stuff at Disney used to be $150. Now it's $250, and they just keep raising it. It's just,
the only saber I have right now is the dark saber.
Yeah.
And that was.
I have the Yoda. I have Yoda's little saber, the Master Replica Yoda. I just was crazy. I would go to Barnes and Nobles, and they'd go on special, and I'd go up and just buy the stack. I spent like $300-400 on what they had left. And I have ones that I can sell sealed in the package. The Return of the Jedi Luke Master Replica, the Mace Windu one, and something else. I bought the Master Replica of Darth Maul double-bladed one.
Right.
I bought it originally for, I think it was like $200, and I sold it a couple years ago for $750.
Oh, nice.
So it goes up in value.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's John. We were talking about the saber price. We were having like old man conversation about how everything was just getting expensive. But
back in my day, we used to get a quart of milk for a nickel.
Get your light.
And a lightsaber for $150.
No,
back in the 2000.
We had the knockoff lightsaber that had slits cut in it, and when you swung it, it like whistled.
Yeah, I had those.
Yeah. Like we got it like Woolworth or something like that. Yeah.
I don't even think that one was called the lightsaber. It was called something else, I thought.
A laser sword, because it was copyright infringement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was as much knockoff Star Wars as there wasn't, and if you sent the wrong person to the store, they were coming home with like that robot that almost looked like R2. Because one year I got the robot that had treads on it, and it had a dome with two little arms. It was like Star Space Fleet or something like that.
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh, look, it's R2. So, but yeah, so we were talking costumes real quick for building costumes. So Ken was telling us about the smoothing method of the acetone and other. I know Marty's method. What's your method, Marty, for smoothing out prints?
3D prints?
Yeah, smoothing out prints.
It's the DAP wood filler. You use an orbital sander with like 80 grit, and then you quickly go to, depending on if there's surfaces, big surfaces, you use like 80 grit orbital sander, and that works really well. And then it's DAP wood filler. It's a water soluble wood filler. You put on rubber gloves, and you don't need rubber gloves because it's latex, but the reason you put rubber gloves is to make your hands wet. You grab a pile of the goop and you just spread it on with your hands. And because it's water-based, you can thin it out, get it all in the crevices and everything. And it dries when it dries out, and it's super, super easy to sand. And it's really easy to use. And you can get a tub of it for like $8.
Nice.
So it works out really well. I mean, obviously for smaller things or for things that you can just, when you get a really good print, you can just use filler primer, but this works great on like larger surfaces where you just don't want to be sanding forever, hand sanding. You just use an orbital sander to knock down any of the ruts. If it's pretty significant grooves from 3D, then you just use the DAP wood filler. And the wood filler works great on plastic. It just does.
Well, and you also got me hooked on the the little sander, the detail sander.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have a detail
which
sander?
one?
The little tiny skinny one? Well, you have a powered one, but I wound up getting the Ryobi detail sander. That little belt sander.
Yeah. The little detail belt sanders are great. Those are great, mainly for assembling like costumes like armor. Because when you have to cut the armor and then you want to kind of smooth out the edges before you butt it together or something like that, the belt it's a thin belt sander. That's a hand belt sander. Those are great, and you can get those at Ryobi. You can get them at just online on Amazon.
Yeah, I think Harbor Freight might sell them now too.
Yeah,
I know
Harbor Freight has one, but it's really heavy. It's like over-engineered where the motor is ginormous, and then it's this belt that sticks out of it, and your arm gets so freaking tired. I did have one that was made by Black & Decker like probably 10 years ago, and it just burned up. It went bad. I think I went too hard on it, So.
How about you, John? Any costuming work?
I haven't done anything this week, no.
Get off.
I know I've been so busy between work and just normal life stuff. I haven't worked on any costumes. I did get my rank bar for
I saw that.
For my Director Krennic.
Was that the one you got from Etsy?
It is. It's extremely nice.
Krennic is nice. He bought a Krennic off. Was you get that off Amazon?
Off Amazon.
It's nice. So yeah, that's really cool. And then so the only thing I worked on, I got a little bit of painting on my armor. I worked on my Vader chest box, and then yesterday Wendy asked for my address to mail my cape. So she sent me pictures of the cape.
Your inner robe and your cape?
Yeah. I got the cape. It's just the inner robe. I got the
inner
cape.
Robe, yeah.
The pleats are beautiful. I don't know how people sew, but her stuff is so nice.
Yeah.
And,
that's cool.
And so she's sending it to me.
Just so you know, I just got from Lucasfilm an invite. The Philadelphia Flyers on Wednesday, December 7th. So
nice.
In Philadelphia. So I'm gonna sign up with the Droid Builders, and
I have to pick Zoe up that day.
We said December 7th.
Is it Wednesday, December 7th?
I don't know.
That's when it is. Is that when you're picking up Zoe?
She just called me tonight, and she was like, "Well, I'm looking for return ticket." She wanted to get her tickets now because
tell her to come in on the 6th, and she can then troop the Flyers event on the 7th.
I'll tell her that, but she was going to buy her ticket because the prices of tickets are pretty cheap right now. But
really?
Well, she said it's like $160 from here to LA with an extra suitcase or something like that.
Oh wow! What?
That's one way though. That's one way.
Oh well, still. But 160. Wow, that's crazy. Because for me to fly from here to Colorado, it's like $600.
Yeah. So, well, she's getting like a layover flight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, hey.
In Kansas.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
26 hours.
But yeah, so I got that, and I got my doorway done and painted. So now I have to start building stuff. So we'll actually have to measure.
I just ran 7 miles today, and I'm dead freaking tired.
Oh man, I pulled a muscle just hearing that.
Training for my marathon. I did this the same thing that I'm doing. I did 12 years ago when I was 12 years younger, and I hate to admit it, but I can definitely feel the difference. It's just slower. It's slower getting. It takes longer to get in shape, and it sucks. But what are you gonna do? So I'm like, my legs and my hips are a little tired right now, and I'm just ready to fall asleep. But that's for January. January, I'm running 39 miles in 2 days. So, so anyway, but back to Star Wars. So.
Well, that's what I put up the troop time banner because did anyone troop this up past weekend? I know Marty and I did.
Yeah, we were trooping at the Lego Brick Fest.
Yes. So,
did you have your illegal banner or badges?
I made some illegal badges. I did. I made badges with QR codes on them for all the costuming groups.
Except Karita.
Except for Karita. So if someone asked me, "Oh, how do I?" It's like, just give me your phone, and I actually used.
Even had Dark Empire.
Yeah,
Dark Empire.
I was like, I got to have some of the bad guys. So I went Dark Empire. Sometimes doing things just to be a jackass is fun.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I got that Lucasfilm invite from Alex Vargas for the thing. 16 groups. There's 16 groups that were invited, and it's crazy. I mean, I can read off here real quick. Let me just show you or I can't show you, but I'll read it off. And I got an open invite to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins next March 25th.
Oh, nice.
But there's literally 501st Karita. There's Kyber Base. There's Mandalorian Mercs, Capital City Jedi, Central PA Jedi Sith Alliance, the Dark Empire Umbara Temple, Jedi Saber Combat, Saber Guild Zepho Temple, Droid Builders Northeast Sector, R2 Builders, Sith Dynasty, Central Pennsylvania Saber Masters, and Jedi Council of America. Those are everybody that's on the invite to Lucasfilm events now. So I don't want anybody to give us any crap if we show up with any of those in any costume.
Yeah.
Because I know half of those Jedi and stuff, they bring their own Darth Vader and they bring their own Sith,
Yeah. The Saber Combat people were funny because I remember years ago Lucasfilm would not allow us to touch sabers. Remember that? Like if a person came with a lightsaber, like a kid, you weren't allowed, if you were Vader, to touch sabers with them because they didn't want people to get hurt or something. And now there's the Saber Combat. They wear like foam suits and actually fight.
Yeah, like kendo suits.
Huh?
Like those kendo suits that they wear.
And they're like Star Wars'd up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's funny. But yeah, we did the Brick Fest, which was a lot of fun. It wasn't as big a setup as normal. I think I don't know if the weekend was just bad for Dave or whoever, but there was just not as it was.
Well, I think Brickfest alone was just a bit smaller. It was a bit more sparse. I'm sure that Saturday was more populated, but I mean, just their displays and stuff. It didn't seem like they were as packed with their displays as they normally would, but it was still fun.
But people love mouse droids, man.
On a side note, guess the one person that was wearing a mask, from the droid builders.
Oh,
guess what he just got?
Oh, poor guy. Poor guy.
But it's okay. It's okay because he's not feeling it bad, and it's just a little nasally and stuff like that. He's in like day 2 or 3 of it, so he should be fine in 2 days.
Okay.
I felt bad for him because I'm like, damn,
he wore a
he's
mask
been so careful
the whole weekend.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had the kids loved the mouse droids, and that's the first time I've been around where there was 2 choppers. Like there was
2 different. It was regular chopper, and then the other one was just whatever the chopper designation is. I guess he's an astromech, but his designation CT or CP. But Roddy made a custom one specifically for his biker scout that was more of a Imperial, chopper droid. He just did the chopper droid, but just painted it white and black.
Yeah,
to go with his biker.
They were neat to see. So
yeah,
and then Chewie. And then
I think we need to start printing chopper, Mike, just each piece, and then just collectively, print the pieces, and then start assembling so we can build the droid at the same time, just remotely.
Sounds good to me. John too. John, you got to jump in that window. Get your printer running.
Yeah, I know. I want an astromech droid.
Yeah.
I can't with the electronics. That's the one thing that I struggle with.
But that's what you work with other people to do it. Like I'm going to rely on Dave and Roddy and some people I know I have my R2 and it's not difficult, but there is a learning curve, but you just rely on other people in the community to help you because if it's not, you find out what to get, what electronics to get. It's not that bad. And then just the wiring of everything, you'll learn pretty easily. And even to this day with my R2, I still don't know all the ins and outs of all the electronics and the fuses and everything like that. But, that's what friends are for sometimes.
Yep. All we know is you need automotive fuses in R2. I just remember when that one fuse blew, remember?
Yep. Yep. I just use automotive fuses because if he gets too much, like I went from cement to this like AstroTurf at the one baseball game and the wheels spun and it really ramped up the amperage and I keep fuses on board, extra fuses on board. And I just checked the fuses for the wheel and it was the motor driver thing and I changed it out and it worked just fine. But better blow the fuse than ruin the speed controller.
Yep. And then I have a wedding to troop Saturday.
What are you doing? Are you doing TK or
I'm doing my TK because I'm doing it with 501st. And Savvy doesn't work. So if she's up to it, she might do 000. But I told her she didn't have to because she works all day Sunday. So I don't want to speak for her.
But weddings are fun. I mean, you've done a wedding before. You did I forget his name, Tyler Hart. You did his. It's a small amount of time. You just do photo ops, and then even if they want you to linger around during cocktail hour or something like that, it's pretty simple, But and it's fun, and you get free food and drinks if you like.
There's one on November 11th, so 11/11/22 in Bluebell, Pennsylvania.
Where is Bluebell, Pennsylvania?
I don't know.
The place is called Normandy Farm. So I'm gonna put in an invasion request for the New Jersey Mercs, the Pennsylvania Mercs, and as many other groups as I can. This is actually.
And what is that? What is the wedding? Whose is it?
It's a friend from work.
Oh, okay.
And it's a legit Star Wars wedding. I mean, they have all the bridesmaids are going to have lightsaber bouquets. The groomsmen are going to be wearing.
That's awesome. I don't understand why Karita and why certain people have just a stance against weddings, because it's a themed event that's celebrating a couple coming together. So how is that any like? Like I think they initially didn't want us to be like dancing monkeys showing up at bar mitzvahs and birthdays and stuff like that. But what's the problem with that? Like that's kind of like a self-righteous, like we're better than that type of thing. Better than what? Helping somebody celebrate their birthday or celebrate their wedding when they're. I mean, that's insulting, kind of. Like, why do we think we're better than that? We don't. Only certain people think that they're better than that.
Right.
So
that's near King of Prussia.
Yeah.
So, all right. No, I got November 11th written. I think I have it written down somewhere else.
That's a Friday, Mike.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's at night.
Might have to.
They want us there around 7 something.
Oh,
at night.
I might be at a swing of 7.
That's a nighttime because that's after daylight savings, so it's going to be dark by then.
Yeah. Is it? But it's indoors, I would imagine, right?
It'll be indoors. Yep.
So dressed by 7. Because that day I have a 3 o'clock engagement session that I'll be done with, and I could shoot over because I'm an hour away from King of Prussia, but I could shoot over easily and do like Stormtrooper. I could do whatever. I could do my Stormtrooper. I could do Chewie or whatever they would want.
Yeah, they're open to all of it. Really, I'm going as Kennex, so I'm going as my custom Merc. Yeah, and they're super nice people. The bride is an ER nurse, and she's absolutely fantastic, super kind, and
I mean, I could probably bump my engagement session maybe an hour earlier, get done by 3:30, get over to you. But I just want to make sure that I would get there in time. But yeah, I'll mark it down.
I'm gonna
wedding.
I'm pretty sure
I put in a request for the whole day off so I can get up there, and I'll have more details later this weekend, I hope.
Yeah. Well,
just message me, Ken, or message Mike and let him know, because I mean, like I said, find out what they want. Like I could do Chewie, I could do Vader, I could do Stormtrooper, Boba Fett.
Given that they have some shared children, I think Chewie would be cool.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if the kids will be at the wedding or not, but
Chewie's always cool. I was watching Chewie at Brickfest. I always station myself so I can see certain things in my trooper, and I'm standing there, and people are getting pictures of me. But I always love. I like to see him get pictures of Chewie, but I love to see the reaction because I know how they react to me. But you get to be like an invisible fly on the wall, because in your TK you can be looking straight ahead and just turn your head in the bucket and watch.
Right.
And it's so nice to see people just react to all of us like that. Just to react to all the costumes.
I still am amazed at the reaction you get, and I'm proud of my costume, and I'm proud of how I built it, and and that I pull off a decent Chewie. But it's just amazing the reaction that people just they melt, and they're just the kids and everybody, and that's why I love doing it. And I actually got like David Guida, one of the guys that was there as a stormtrooper. He messaged me on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to say how fun it was watching you and how great you interacted with the kids." And I'm like, that's what we do. That's what all of us does. And it's funny because I see sometimes, and the neat part about doing it in costume is that you can be who you want to be in that costume. Meaning, even if you're an introvert, you can hide a little bit behind the mask. You can hide a little bit behind the persona, and step out. And even like certain people I watch, and they're very standoffish a little bit. I don't know if it's because they want to stay in like, I'm a stormtrooper or I'm a this, and I don't want to be personable to children. But I mean, you can be fun and funny, and you can put your arms out. You can do things in any costume.
Yep.
And I mean, just because you're Darth Vader doesn't mean that you have to act mean. You know, you can be kind of a neat Darth Vader and make a good impression. I think that's more important, to make a good impression on the kids than it is to stay in character and be like choking somebody out. You know, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I chalk it up to sometimes people are just a little introverted and they just don't, they feel awkward to go up or to like, you know, really interact with the kids, or they just want to be in character, and which to me, that doesn't make sense. Just make good memories for the kids, you know, give them a good impression so they don't feel scared. And so they feel
no
like,
matter what
hey, I
age
want to
the
get a
kid
picture with
is.
them. You know,
Because
what?
I've seen some 70-year-olds get just as excited by by people in
Yeah.
costume as a 7 or 6-year-olds.
That was funny. That was funny. Sunday or Saturday was there.
Sunday.
No, Sunday. There was adults there that wanted their picture, but they were almost embarrassed. They were almost like throwing their kids in there for, oh, let me just get one in there too.
Yeah, I always pull them in, you know, because I know it's just like, and just because I'm a photographer by profession, I just know a picture takes a second to take, and you have it forever.
Yep.
And it's like when you walk away, it's like the American Pickers philosophy. The time to get it is when you see it. Just do it. What does it hurt? You know, and sometimes you see those like 12-year-old boys that are too cool for school, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the parents are like, just stand there. You know what I mean? And, you know, or sometimes mom and dad will get the picture, and the 12-year-old boy will stand there and he'll take the picture because he's too cool for it, you know. But what you gonna do? So.
Yeah, we had a good time. We had a good time with the people there, and it was a good event. Our changing room, it was weird because Marty and I have been doing this long enough to know that the changing room, you just change where they give you the space you get.
You take shifts if you need to. You just, you know, you make the best of it.
Yeah, and because Dan had to change by himself, I mean, and then once he was out, then we swap. It was like swap a room.
It was easy. It was a cooperative, but we shared the changing area with waist high or higher boxes of T-shirts, Brickfest T-shirts, because we were the storage room basically for the other side of the curtain, which was the T-shirt area that was selling Brickfest T-shirts. So
we had a little more room when we got undressed because they were selling T-shirts.
Yeah.
But
some of these events, what I've started to do is just start going wearing, you know, Under Armour Broga pants under my regular clothes, and it doesn't matter where I am.
Yeah.
Just started gearing up that way. And if any of you happen to be in Tom's River this weekend, there is the Fan Nation Geek Extravaganza, and that's going on at one of the libraries in Tom's River, and I'll be at that as Kennex with a couple other of the New Jersey Mandos.
Yeah, I got the wedding, and I'm taking Quinn. I'm taking Quinn with me. He's trooping it too, because I think the wedding I'm
as his biker scout.
Yeah, because it's an indoor theme. It's like it part of it's outside in this like lightly wooded area, and so they wanted, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and I don't have a biker scout, so
yeah,
you should have a random Ewok show up.
yeah.
Or bring a stuffed one with you just to have.
I'm stoked about Vader right now. I just want to I like
keep working on it.
Yeah, I want that chest box to be perfect. And then I ordered some more liquid resin. I'm gonna try to do some of the detail pieces in liquid resin. But yeah, I'm excited about Vader. I haven't found a good voice changer though. And Missy's like, you have to get the voice changer. So I have to.
If you look I'll look up my Facebook page that there is literally, I mean, there's guys who are using a guitar. I forget exactly what it is, but they take like a guitar thing, you know, like a guitar pedal or something, or it's a thing. And it's a whole system that they put together. It's not super expensive, but you dial it in and it works really well. I mean, look on Facebook for Darth Vader voice changer, Darth Vader sound, you know, stuff like that on Facebook groups. And they're pretty damn good. Yeah. I mean, the one I had many, many years ago, which I sold, was God, Hyperdyne Labs one. And that was like $500 I paid for that. And it was really good. It was really good. But at this time, I just kind of use an Acre. I have the breathing, and I just pop my voice down. I'm like, and I bring it down. And when you're speaking in the microphone, you can kind of pull it off. I mean, and a lot of times what people will do, you know what they'll do, Mike? They'll make the little button thing where it'll have pre-recorded. There's one called MicCom, MIC-Com on if you look at, and T-Ramp, it's T-Ramp. These are two different ones, MicCom and T-Ramp, where these guys will make it, and it's like a couple $100, but it comes with the speaker, it comes with the wiring, everything, and the buttons. And like button 1 will be all the nice sayings. Button 2 will be like the mean and vicious Vader. Button 3 will be just random, this. And it works as conversation. Like if you, because how many times are you going to go up to a kid and tell him like the square root of 500? No, you're going to say, don't make me destroy you, or or are you the Jedi we're looking for, or whatever popular Vader voices, Vader sayings. And the interaction really is nice. It's like, I am your father, or something like that. So there a lot of people are doing the pre-records that they have on these MicCom or T-Ramp, and it's really good, and you can do it. You just keep it simple.
I have to look on my ROM FX. It has 3 settings. One of them is the Stormtrooper. One of them is Boba Fett, and I forget what the third one is.
Yeah,
and so it could be Vader for all I know. I just got to. The directions to that ROM FX is stuck somewhere in one of my folders.
Well, those are pretty old. The ROM FX is like that's at least 10 years old.
Yeah, I bought that in 07.
Did you have to crank it by hand to get it to work?
Yeah.
No, but it takes a 9-volt battery. The downside to it is when the battery goes low, it just starts saying ROM FX, ROM FX.
Yeah.
Usually,
it takes 14. It takes 14 C batteries. And it only lasts 35 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
that's like our toys when we were young.
It just starts yelling because at one time I used to keep it in my back.
ROM FX.
Yeah, and I couldn't reach it. So I was saying through my voice changer ROM FX. I'm like, I needed to find how to unplug it. So
that's fun. So, well, guys, I'm gonna get going. I got to do a few things before I hit the hay. I'm probably gonna go to bed early tonight.
All right,
so good to see you, Marty.
Cool. Yeah, let me know. I'll come on more often.
Yeah, cool. Every Wednesday night we're doing everything.
Cool.
Later.
All right. Good night.
Good night. All right. Speaking. Is John?
It's always so good to hang out with him.
Oh yeah. That was COVID for me and Marty. We're like, we basically just built stuff, because he would come down. So we were like quarantined, kind of like just his household and my household. We're just, but I don't know if John's. It says John's on, but his camera's off. So I don't know if he. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Sorry. I got a phone call from an old coworker that I just morally couldn't decline.
You should have just put him on. Say, look, sorry, on Wednesday night you have to have this heart-to-heart talk right now. I'm just kidding. No, but so Ken, make sure you send me those details. You get a Chewy there, man. That would be you'd be like the best friend ever.
I'm hoping to. I mean, like I said, it's such a great couple. I actually got the request because they had come to one of the classes I taught on Star Wars Day. The bride and groom don't know we're doing this yet, so hopefully they don't listen to this show.
Yes.
And like I said, all the bridesmaids, their bouquets have a lightsaber hilt. All the groomsmen have rank badges. The centerpieces are Star Wars themed. I mean, so even without troopers there or anybody there in costume, they're having a Star Wars themed wedding anyway.
Right.
And I just want to really help them, make it unforgettable.
To the non-people that aren't in the groups, I think sometimes it seems so unattainable to because we're used to seeing it. Like my kids grew up with it, so they see someone in a Darth Vader costume, like, oh, okay, it's like
that's Bill.
Yeah,
or Sandy.
Well, I mean, because if you think about any of us, like for me, if I think of any time pre 2007, when I bought my armor in 2006, finished in 2007. if you would have talked to me in 2005 and said, hey, someday you're going to have not only one set of stormtrooper armor, but two in boxes that you just haven't taken the time to put together, I would have said there's no way in the world that would ever happen. You know, like it just seems so unattainable.
Well, it's also just, I think it's kind of funny to bring up in conversation. Oh yeah, I got a friend who, you know, dresses as Kylo Ren. I know another guy who does Chewbacca. You know, 16 Mandos and an Ewok. I mean, it sounds like the making of a really bad nerd joke, but it's true.
Well, I was at school. I'm sitting in my room at the end of the day, and we have like trainings. Our school system is the entire county of Cecil County. So like they might have a specialized training and they use different buildings. Like, okay, your building has an empty room today. So teachers from all over the county come and do some kind of training, you know, that like 5 or 10 teachers. And this guy walks by my door and he walks by and then he backed up slowly because I have my name in Arabic on the wall next to my, you know, printed out on a Cricut and put right on the wall. And we started talking and here he does a full Mandalorian, and he's not in any of the groups, you know, and he was showing me pictures and stuff like that, and it was just really cool. You know, so there's another person in the county that, you know, has armor, and then we, you know, I was telling about the Mando Mercs and the 501st and all this stuff. We were talking for a while, so it was just neat at work because I normally don't get to talk about Star Wars to anybody, so. But yeah, that's my troop time. Like I said, I did have my illegal badges.
So what constitutes illegal? Is it like, so it hasn't been approved by the garrison? Is that what?
So in the 501st, Lucasfilm is pretty generous with all the costuming groups. Like when you look at how Star Trek, what those people have to jump through to do any kind of Star Wars or Star Trek cosplay, and you know that's a whole nother animal. Lucasfilm has always been pretty lenient, and to the point of when it comes to like making T-shirts. Like if we want to make a 501st T-shirt, up until a couple years ago, the garrisons could make tons of shirts. They just had to submit it and make sure it wasn't like offensive and stuff like that, and there were some rules on artwork and stuff. But if you wanted to do like 10 different T-shirts a year as a garrison, you could, right? You just, and then Lucasfilm kind of reined it in because they saw that they were kind of exploiting it in the sense that some of these garrisons were making it like almost like a side job of just making merch. So they put some restrictions on merch. Well, I guess a couple of years ago, someone said, hey, I want to make some merch. I want to make some lanyards that people can buy if they want a Squire. And it said like Squire, and it had a badge with Garrison Karita. And for some reason, our garrison is the only garrison that has a trademarked logo, which I don't understand, but that's like a 6-hour show right there. Well, this guy made them and it was fine. Well, then people were wearing them. And then someone was like, hey, they're not approved anymore or something like that. And it just got to be a stink. And then they were like threatening, like if we see a Squire wearing them, we will bring them up on charges. I'm like, what?
To who? The local constable? Like,
I don't know.
Like, is there a prefect that's going to be judging whether these lanyards are legit or not?
Yeah, and I don't want to come across as like being anti-501st, but it's almost like there's certain people in our group, in the group I'm in the local group, that have become the exact caricature of a costuming group person. You know, like if you're talking to someone, they're like, well, I'm not joining, pick your fan group because they're just a bunch of elitist snobs, blah, blah, blah. And we have some people that are that way in our group. Unfortunately, there's some of the people in charge. Because there was a mindset a couple years ago, because the perception of that we work closely with Lucasfilm, which we really don't. You're on a distribution. Marty pointed out all the different groups. You're on a distribution list of an email.
Some of those I'd never heard of before.
Listen, if you make your own group, you can get on the list. That's, you know. But some of
So
these
you have to
people,
make one for Ajax Citizen.
well, yeah, there we go. Well, now I got my brain working, but there was a couple people in our group that felt like they were the costume police. So there would be a group, like there was this group, I forget. They made Imperial costumes and they were pretty bad. Like, but whatever. People, I say bad, and that's relative to people make whatever they want according to whatever they want. But there was this group in Pennsylvania that was basically disgruntled 501st Rebel Legion people for some reason. And we've all been there submitting costumes. And there's that fine line. If you get rejected on the wrong day, you could easily be that disgruntled, whatever. But we're all gruntled because me and Missy were looking up the word gruntled. And that means that's the opposite of disgruntled, even though gruntled sounds like you should be in a bed, But anyway, we're all gruntled, so we're okay. But
I'm gonna start using that more often. How are you today? I'm gruntled.
I'm gruntled. But they anyway, so there was people in our group that became like the costume police. So if they saw someone doing something like, hey, I think I saw someone in a Vader costume in front of a store using it to promote and make money, and they wanted to report them to Lucasfilm. And they had nothing to do with us, or it was just some, you know what I mean? And so they got this mindset of like they were a costume police. And I feel this felt very reminiscent of that, because I guarantee without a doubt, if Kathleen Kennedy was coming out of a store and you were wearing a Squire badge that wasn't quite approved, she would not give two shits,
Yeah, probably. And Kathleen, if you're listening, please put it in the chat whether or not you would give two shits.
Well, and she wore remember when she wore the Forces female? Was that wasn't even a Lucasfilm thing, was it?
I don't think so.
That was just a Nike slogan that kind of crosses the line. Like you could, if you're at the right event, you could say, hey, is that Star Wars related? And she didn't give a shit. I don't know. I just think some people have way too much time on their hands. They should buy a 3D printer, and they will have no more time on their hands because they'll be sanding, priming, and thinking about what they're going to print next.
That's too funny. So,
but yeah, when I heard that illegal thing, I was like, really? And so what the normal person at 11 o'clock at night would do, they just go to bed and then get up in the morning and troop. No, I made badges. I said to Missy, do we have a laminator? And of course my wife had a laminator. So I laminated them. And then I said, do we have a device that cuts corners around? And of course we have a device that cuts corners around. And so I made badges. I was like, do we have lanyards? Yes, we had lanyards. So I made a set and I was wearing them.
Hey, John, do you want one of these?
Yeah.
Do you want one of these lanyards? Because I do.
I will. I have them. I will. Next time I see you, I will give them to you. Well, the thing is, and I've said this before, the what are they, the RF chips or the QR codes? We should be outfitting the handlers with as many things as possible, because Missy did it for 10 years. She was a Squire, as they call it, and she was saying she always wore a Star Wars t-shirt, because back then, before every other person had a cell phone on, the first couple of years I trooped, we would go to events and you would take a handful of pictures because everyone's phone had a flip phone. It was terrible pictures. So you would have someone with a camera taking pictures, and then you would tell them where they could post them. But nowadays, you want people to know that you're working with that group so that you don't look like a weirdo taking pictures, but also with QR codes and with hashtags and all that, you can promote not only your group, you can promote whatever event you're there for relatively easy and not make it a burden on the handler.
Well, and with that said, you could also have them help with that promotion. So let's, for instance, the Mandalorian Mercs, they're called the MMCC, Mandalorian Mercs Costume Club. So if you do hashtag MMCC, it's going to be put into that bucket, that thread, that whatever, with all the other MMCC pictures from around the world.
Yeah, that's what I mean, and it makes people, it makes the person doing the handling feel like they're doing something too, because the handler position, I've only done it a handful of times. I hate it. It's a thankless job. No, I mean, I don't say I hate it, but I would much rather be in costume. because it is, and I like Star Wars and stuff. There are people there that, oh, here's my wife. I don't think she's ever seen the movie. She's going to be a squire. That's just asking for torture if you can't give them something, to help out.
Or the people that agree to be squires or handlers just so they get the badge into the event, and then you don't see them for 6 hours because they were standing in line for, whatever star they wanted to see.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other.
Which I understand people, I don't want to say taking advantage of, but, just using the opportunity as it comes. But when you only do it for that purpose to get that free ticket in, then you're not helping anybody but yourself.
Right. But I also feel, at least what I've seen, most people don't do that. Because Missy used to troop or handle all the time for us. And then our group came out with this big long list of requirements. Like, you have to do 4 hours and you have to take, there's this big long list. And Missy's like, I got to work all week, man. Screw that.
Yeah, never mind.
But I think
if I wanted to work, I'd go to work.
Well, right. But I also think the people that would take advantage when there's no rules are still not going to do that when you tell them the rules. You know what I mean? Like, that's, and I've seen overall the handlers do a really decent job. For it's a thankless job, and I just thought, when I saw illegal things, I was like, oh man, it was just embarrassing. Like, to me, that was. But we had a good troop. I had my sand trooper. I couldn't find I had to wear this plastic hand plates again. I gotta do a little on that sand. That sand trooper. It's just, when I'm suiting up myself, I don't get the fit right. But I am thinner, so it fit me better. I actually had to make it a little tighter than when last time we filmed with Matt, so that made me feel good.
Have you been eating less nacho cheese?
Yes, I've been eating less. No, I think I cut down my iced tea by half.
Oh, okay.
To be honest with you, because that's just like empty calories. So I don't know.
And we've now stepped into nutrition time.
Yes, we've stepped into. If 20-year-old me would have ever thought I'd be talking about what I eat, I would have slapped myself in the face. I didn't come from that time period where we're just like, what? We're men.
Oh, if 20-year-old me saw me now, I would be insulted and disgusted.
I'd just be happy that I always pictured myself working in a junkyard when I was 20 years old. So I'm happy I'm not. I mean, nothing against working in a junkyard, but I just always pictured missing most of my teeth because my grandfather had poor teeth, and I'd be like one of those perpetual dirty people working in a junkyard when I was about 20.
All right, Mr. Sanford.
Hey, Sanford, I had that truck. The truck that was my first truck, 52 Ford. I had a 52 Ford. And Missy used to hum the Sanford stomach thing. She used to hum that. So I don't know. Yeah, but so I got Vader's on the way. So I'm thought I'd have them ready for Halloween, but I don't think that'll happen. It still could happen, but I don't want to rush it. Like, old me would be like, I can just slap some extra paint on these boxes and I'll sand them later. And I'm trying not to do that. I'm going to do them right the first time. Keely, I got one leg done. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I got one leg done. I might have Wendy just sew my camera too. So her turnaround stuff. But I don't know what material to do the camera. That's my. Because I'm thinking that I think you're supposed to do it like a vinyl or something like that, but that just doesn't feel like it's going to move as much. I don't know.
Yeah, I think either vinyl or canvas or the or fake leather.
Yeah, the fake leather. I don't feel that'll move right. Like, I think it would look good when I'm just standing straight up, but if I bend for a pose, I feel like it would look weird. I don't know. I got to do a little more research.
I love how for the last like X amount of years, you've had one costume and one costume only.
Yep.
Now you're working on two others.
Yes.
And he has two that are still in boxes that aren't going anywhere because he won't give them to us.
Well, no, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to troop in that FX that something's going to break off that can't be fixed. Because I got my first crack in my crotch. and so I have a feeling like it's going to something because it had that armor. That armor is from I bought it in 06. It's old, you know. So
the 12-year-old me loves you.
yeah, my crotch crack or whatever.
Crotch crack. That your comma doesn't cover.
Yeah. Arc. That's the skirt looking thing that Commander Keeley. Is it Commander Keeley or is it
I think it's Captain.
Keeley?
Captain Keeley, I think.
Maybe it's posthumously Keeley. So yeah, I'm still happy with my TK. Honestly, is beat up, and I know the one leg wears a little weird. I still feel I'm happiest in my TK because it just so it fits me like that. I love my Sand Trooper. Man, I can't bend my neck down in that because the way the helmet is and stuff like that. Yeah, fake leather. Yeah. I'm see. I have some really heavy black canvas, like, but it's soft. I don't know. I just gotta for that costume because I doubt I'll ever submit that for approval. That costume is more for how it looks. It's just like my girls' Jawas. Their masks are furry, which I know is not whatever. But you take a picture of my kids' Jawa costumes, it looks way better than most of the ones I see. So
you could probably get an inexpensive comma from like Etsy or something like that too.
Yeah. I'll probably say something to Wendy and see if she has time to make one. Because if it was like the same material as Vader's cape, like that heavy black, and it's kind of shiny, you know, because I'm like I said, I'm just more how it's going to lay. I have tons of that black fake leather. I could make one of my own, but I
wonder why they call it a comma at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they made up words.
Well, it's not a made up word. You know what comma is? It's the Indian god of erotic love and pleasure.
Oh, well,
so I'm not really sure how that works into like a half skirt sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I always liked that though. I always liked the not the Indian god of love and pleasure. I mean, I'm not knocking on, but I just didn't know that was a thing. But I always liked the clone troopers that had all the extras on them.
Yeah, a bunch of Mandos have commas too.
Yeah, there's a guy I always see his pictures on Facebook, and he has that more modern looking Mando helmet with the big round ears.
Mm.
I don't know what that is, but he has a really nice looking suit, and he has that camera and stuff. It looks really cool.
What is it? White and purple?
I don't know, but he has a girlfriend or a female friend that's always doing pictures with him.
I don't think we're thinking the same person.
Yeah, they live in California somewhere. You see their pictures all the time. In 40 minutes, Zoe will probably be doing her 7-year anniversary show. She's recording it for episode, I think it's 241. It'll be released on the 22nd. It's the 7th year. It's a 7-year anniversary of her and Lizzie podcasting. September is actually the 7th anniversary, but we count it from when she started podcasting with Lizzie. When we revamped it. I don't even know where the first 3 or 4 episodes are because they were so bad. They're lost to time. We'll bring them out of the vault and sell them for now. It just, they weren't bad. They weren't the same. But it's going to be a very Mandalorian episode. So I'm very happy. I was trying to get John as guest host, but Lizzie could make it because she was almost. I thought John would want to talk to Brendan Wayne, but
just a little.
Yeah, let's not bring that up, okay, Mike?
But Lizzie Lizzie could do it. Hey, well, we'll figure it out. I've been telling you, I guarantee you can, if you, with your podcast, and you could probably do it with the Best Car Bucket too, John, if you send them a note in Instagram and just spell out your stuff and tell them, I would.
Well, I think it'd be great to have both of them on, Brendan and Latif, because they make such a great pair.
Yeah. Well, I don't have Latif's connection, so I just was like, I heard I heard him on the armor party, and I was like, okay, because a lot of times I'm driving to school and I hear stuff, and then I have to mental note. I just keep saying it in my head, so I'll miss almost the rest of the podcast. When I get to school, I'll write in my little journal, "This is what you got to do tonight." So, but we'll see. Now, hopefully everything. I'm hope I'm not jinxing it by saying, so because there's always those things that something comes up and stuff. Because I told her, I said, look, you can tell him you can just come to his place of work if he can't do a Zoom call, and
Go to his place.
yeah,
Cali.
go to what is it?
Because I think it's not too far from Magic Jump. They can just
Yes.
swing
I think
over.
Magic Jump's on the way. I think Magic Jump's on the way. So, but by the time we're done with this, our first episode will be loaded on my computer. I can extract the audio and put it on Anchor, so I can put the first episode of the Inflatable Falcon because it's a 3-hour download to download the video off of YouTube.
Oof.
Per episode, because I was like, so we'll see.
Well, we're already an hour into this one, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and we haven't. I don't even feel like we got started yet.
Well, do you need to extract the video?
I just need the audio for Armor or for
Anchor.
Anchor. I just need.
Although Anchor now supports video.
No, I'll see what that. I don't know if there's a time limit. But yeah, I'll check. I just had to load it from YouTube, and that was 3 hours. So, and then with QuickTime, I can save just the audio, but I might just see what happens when I take that file and throw it in the Anchor uploader and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, what you can do is how are you downloading the video?
Just right off of my YouTube channel, just clicking at it, downloading it as a QuickTime, as an MP4, I believe.
If you just Google YouTube to MP3, you can just download the audio.
Okay, but I'm not going to get one of those stupid things that I get tons of viruses, am I? Because that's what Zoe said. So she said, "Oh, just use this," and then I would get viruses. She said, "Oh yeah, I get those all the time. I just delete them." And I was like, "No, I don't do things like that." So.
Yeah, because that's if I miss if I forget to download the audio straight from Restream, I just use I forget exactly what the website is, but there is an MP3 downloader.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I was just messing last night. I had a couple minutes, and I was like, let me just see. So I made sure that the Anchor account for the Inflatable Falcon was up and running, and I had to remember which email I used. So, but then so I can just start. If I start doing a couple a week, I'll eventually catch up. Because at first I was like, I'm going to cut it up, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I feel like cutting up 4 hours of audio.
Because you'd have to listen to a good enough chunk of it to know where to cut it up.
Yeah. And then I'd have to think about an intro and all that. Okay, yeah. So Ark's telling me the same thing. See, I let myself lapse in my when I taught computer science 15 years ago. We had all brand new Macs at the schools I was at, and so I was doing all this stuff, and then when we went to Chromebooks and I went back to teaching math for a couple of years, I kind of my free time was not as much free. Grading math, if I was still grading math, I'd be at a podcast once a month if I was still teaching math. So, because at least with the computer stuff, even the stuff that that stuff is intuitive, like Java and stuff like that for me. And I don't know. We're having an R2 show up to my school in a couple weeks. Someone's bringing it to show my robotics team. They're like, Mr. Hinton, have you ever seen an R2D2? I was like, yes, I have.
In real life.
Little do you know.
But the poor kid's so excited that a friend of her dad's has an R2. So I was like, okay, yeah, he's more than welcome to bring it in. I don't want to.
Well, you can always say you've never seen that one.
Right. Dan and Marty came into my school one time we had a makerspace, and we didn't tell them. So they came in. It was crazy. It was so cool. And we were going to put it in the yearbook, and my stupid students flashed fake gang signs in the picture, and the yearbook companies won't. Like one kid had whatever. His hands weren't real, but if it's anything that could be remotely like a gang sign, they won't put it in the yearbook. I'm like,
They couldn't have put smiley face stickers over his hands or something.
I don't know. I was like, come on. And we didn't know it. We're taking a bunch of pictures. Everyone's excited. And then the next day, I sent the pictures to the yearbook lady. She's like, I can't use any of these. I'm like, oh. So I was like, thanks for nothing, kids.
Thanks, Timmy.
There's that one kid, he had to be there that day. No, it's terrible. Yeah. So, did any of you guys listen to Armor Party yet?
I listened to the Brendan Wayne episode.
That's a good one, isn't it? It doesn't. After listening to that, like he's moved so far up on my list of people that I want to meet in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well,
we could have, but
I know, but he's someone I never knew I would want to meet.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, if I could get in my DeLorean, go back a couple weeks, I would have made I would have stretched myself, pushed myself to actually be able to go to New York Comic Con. And because he was there. I mean, he was, literally right up the road from me.
Yeah.
Granted it was a couple hours, but either way, it's closer than he is right this moment. So it would have been cool to just spend a couple minutes with him.
Yeah, he was he definitely just came across, not that I don't know. I think sometimes we put too much thought into who's the actor, as long as they're doing a good job. You know what I mean? Like you don't really need a serial killer to portray a serial killer. You just need a good actor. And I don't know if we need, but it is nice when you know something that you care so much about, that person is also a good person.
Well, the other piece to that is, for whatever it's worth, he's not the face of Mando. He's not the face of Din Djarin, and he takes it just as seriously as anybody else involved. And he's kind enough, thoughtful enough, considerate enough to mention names of the other makers along the way, whether it's the costume designer or the cameraman or even his partner in crime, Lateef, the actual stunt guy. Because it's one thing to say, well, don't you realize I'm the Mandalorian? Instead of, well, all of these people help bring the Mandalorian to you. We are part of a big team, and I feel so lucky to be part of that team.
Well, and he almost seems overly protective of Pedro Pascal's part in the sense that he won't take his helmet off. You know what I mean?
Much on yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely tip my hat to Brendan Wayne. He seems really nice, and I would love to spend time with him and Lateef. So if you're listening, Kathleen Kennedy, let's make that happen.
Yeah. Any other good podcasts we heard? I listened to yours, Ken, which was good.
Oh, our first 5 episodes of Andor?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was unfortunate that Demetrius wasn't able to be with us, but he'd given us a couple questions. We read your questions and answered some of your questions as well. Hopefully our answers made sense to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just glad my questions made sense.
And our next episode, it seems like because of trying to get five guys from different places and different time zones together as a channel. So it looks like our next episode will be recorded sometime in November, probably the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I've been listening to just different podcasts, and I'm getting to be a someone who enjoys the segmented podcast now. Like I like the open format, like where you just kind of talk and stream. But some of them are doing that with the segments now, which I think, like Dad Batch, I think does a really good job with theirs. They do.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that one yet. Maybe that might be my goal for Thursday or Friday this week.
They've seen
an episode of their show.
Yeah, now they have a high production value. Like I think they have someone who actually does some good post production for them. But a lot of them do. Like Bad Motivators, I think they have segments. Blue Harvest has segments. Not as rigid. But I think the Dad Batch, it seems like they have a good formula in the sense that they have very simple segments, and they just do those segments every time. Like
the Resistance broadcast is similar.
Yeah,
they even go so far as to include either recordings from their Patreon supporters, or they answer questions that their Patreon supporters have put out there. So they definitely have some very specific segments.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the cool things about podcasting is there really is no one way to do it. So
Right.
this group, this pair, they do it this way, and that trio does it a different way, and those 5 guys over there completely different than all of them. And you might hear them once every 3 months, and the other group does 2 a week.
Yeah. Well, and that's I agree wholeheartedly, because I know I get in the mood sometimes to hear very scripted stuff. Though my Star Wars stuff is probably less scripted. My scripted stuff is more like stuff you missed in history class and all that kind of stuff. Where where my Star Wars stuff is more less scripted. I do like, but yeah, like you said, and I think every person that sticks with it finds what works for them.
Yep.
And Beskar Bucket. When's our next Beskar Bucket coming out?
As soon as I can find some time.
Yeah,
it's not going to be for the rest of the month. I can at least assure you that.
Yeah.
Well, with all the trooping that you've been doing and this third job and all that stuff, shoot.
Now, when's your next troop?
My next troop is Saturday and then Thursday.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So this Saturday and next Thursday?
Correct. I have 2 troops in the next week.
Nice. You're gonna put some ticks on that that case. Yeah. Now, Ken, do you have guys in the Mando Mercs that like record how many miles they travel and how many troops they troop?
I think they keep track of their troops, but I don't think they calculate their miles so much.
We had a couple guys who were calculating miles, which to me, I that would be depressing, because then I would start thinking, wait a minute, how much money did I spend on gas over the last 5?
Well, see, I think it would be cool to do that if you were trooping with other groups. So let's say I do some troops with the Pennsylvania group, and then I go down to Maryland and do some troops there, or go up to New York and do some. And I think it'd be kind of cool to do that, almost like journaling it or whatever. I
wouldn't mind one of those, like a patch you put on your back, and when you troop in a state, you get like the shape of the garrison.
Yeah,
like people campers. You know what I mean? Like, so you cover it out. But I didn't sign up for Air and Scare.
Yeah, I didn't, because we're actually driving to Batu that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a wedding that weekend.
So, but I called the DoubleTree the other night and didn't get any answers, so I could call them back. I just gotta get my price for this stupid hotel. I am not paying almost $1,000 to stay at Steel City. So I can't do it. So,
and this isn't necessarily podcast talk or troop talk, but elections are coming up for the Mandalorian Mercs, and I'm thinking about talking about potentially putting my bucket into the ring for Alarad, which is the leader of the group, leader of the clan. So I'm considering doing that.
Nice.
So
now, who's your leader now?
Right now, it's a gentleman by the name of Ruben, and he's doing a couple different roles, because we've had some leadership changes in the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
One of the leader stepped down, and so Ruben kind of stepped up, and has taken on a couple different roles. So we're kind of in between Alarads right now. And I'm probably 40 yes, 60 no, 40% yes, 60% no of stepping into that, or at least putting my name in the ring to be elected to that role.
Well, because I ran once, and I think what I tell people that run, the main thing is you have to commit to whatever it means to you. Because I see some of these people in the higher positions, they run themselves ragged because they think they have to make this position a full-time job. And I'm not saying you should half-ass it by any means, but I always tell people, like, if think about how much time you can commit to it and still enjoy it, because the last thing you want to do is all these years of doing it, and have it ruined because you work yourself to death for something that you love, and then you're
Yeah.
done. Because I've seen that happen where someone runs and they get the position they want, and then when they come out the other side, they're done. They saw how the sausage was made, and they're done.
Yeah.
But because when I was running, I was like, because they were asking me, I was like, look, I'm going to spend an hour or so every night. I mean, if there's an emergency, but I'm not going to like come home from work and then do, because what do you do at a certain point, especially nowadays, you can work smarter and not harder and do everything that needs done.
Well, and at the other end of it, with something like this, and what I think is really cool that has happened recently with our group, we've managed to have some small virtual conversations with some of our official members and some of our unofficial members. So it's been really nice to witness this, because one of the things that's been happening lately with our particular group, the New Jersey group, we have folks who are active in some ways, but not in all ways.
Mm-hmm.
And we have many of them who don't necessarily know how far they can go as an unofficial member and what's expected of them as an official member. So we've had some events where it might be one of us there in costume with 3 handlers.
Right.
And then, so what we're attempting to do is find out from everybody what kind of events they want to attend, what kind of contribution they want to make to these events, what would they need to feel more comfortable going to these events and being active members of the group, because you don't have to be an approved costumed member to be active.
Mm-hmm.
There are many ways in which you can contribute and help out and still be an active part of the group. And so it's really nice to see at least so we had a meeting on Monday night, we had a meeting last night, and there's another one going on. It might be ending right now, but we've had 3 meetings in a row where we've had people come together and talk about it. So it's really nice to see that folks are actively involved in these conversations. And so
that's the is you want people to enjoy it, because it is scary if you're new.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
John's new to the group, so it seems like Ohio did a good job of welcoming you to the group.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everyone's been super helpful, super welcoming. So I haven't had any complaints thus far.
That's
how our group is too. I mean, it's ours is just big enough that when you get over 100 and some people, you can find the groups of people that work well for you.
You also, with your situation, John, you came in a different way than most. You came in with your gear ready to go.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go through the growing pains and the heartache of working with some of these folks to get to that place. So you worked with Marty to make sure that your bits and pieces were all polished and all tidied up, so that when you did go through the hoops of approval,
I didn't meet Marty though. I met Marty at my second troop, when it was the Toys R Us. It might have been my third troop, but it was a Toys R Us toy release of the Clone Wars. So it was probably my third troop. And he was a Vader. That's where I met him. He was doing Revenge of the Sith Vader. And I remember I was like, oh, you tall guys get all the good. I was just joking around. And then he took his lifts off. He's like 1 inch taller than me. I'm like, oh, I guess I could do a Vader.
And now look at you, 15 years later.
Right. I've had this Vader for 10 years. I've had the helmet for 10. I was we had a place, Luke Cannon Armory. I don't know if you ever heard of them, Ken. He's from Allentown. He used to make Vaders. And they weren't too bad price. And I was at a Weird Al concert, and I was talking to the guy. I was like, where'd you get that Vader helmet? And he's like, oh, I make them. And so I went home, because we had a Vader shortage for the longest time in Korea. And Missy was like, oh, you should do a Vader then. And so I started, and then all these Vaders reappeared, and I was just like, you know what? and I started working on Sabine. So I was like, okay, I'll have to, take a break from Vader.
And it turned into a 10-year break.
Yeah.
Later Vader.
Yeah, it's a later Vader. Well, the soft goods are what hit me. And then when I was helping Marty clean, he's like, look, I got a cape, a undersuit, the suit, and the cod piece. You can have it. I was like, okay. So, you know what I mean? That was That was all I needed to get me, because the undersuit was ridiculous priced. It only took as long as I've been alive. Thanks, man. Thanks. I started working on the T-tracks for my blaster, because I printed them and started using heat gun, and I think I got a good system going to put the T-tracks in my E11.
There you go.
Because they bend nice. I'm just going to make a block. I'm going to make a block of wood. They have to be 5 1/4 inches from hole to hole. So I'm just going to make a block of wood and heat them up and bend it over that block of wood as like a template. And then dip it in cold water and trim them up and shove them on. So the plus side of 3D printing PLA, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So Andor. Let's go to Andor. Because I don't think. Let me see. Let me see what else we have. We did talk the bucket list, and let me see. Kenobi spoiler. I'm just looking at all. Here's all our headings we have. Unified Fandom Network, which
Fan
is
film flim flam.
yeah, and then we have Kenobi spoilers. We don't need that anymore. Inflatable Falcon show, sequels talk, bucket list, projects, troop time, podcast talk, fan film. We have 2 troop time. One has an exclamation point. Costume corner, D23. Yeah, Ark said he watched the first 3. So we might spoil some of this for you, Ark. You might have to
Close your ears.
you might have to close your ears. Yeah. I like this. I like today's episode a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're
So,
just.
Can I break tradition here for a second?
Yeah, you don't like it?
No. I'm not going to say that. I'm just gonna talk generally about what I don't like.
Okay.
I'm disappointed that there aren't more aliens.
Oh yeah.
Like we see some, like they're background characters. There's just no featured like front and center alien, with the exception of Dr. Quadpaw, who I thought was a brilliant character. And then the other thing that I don't like is I don't like that they've changed the sounds of the blasters.
Well, that I will agree with you. That I agree, but the aliens. I was thinking that at in today's episode when they were at the dinner party, I was thinking we would see who's the dude that's next to Palpatine with the big long horns?
Masameda.
Yeah, I was thinking we'd see him. Or
Well, Sly Moore was supposedly on one of the invitation lists.
Yeah. Or I was hoping we would see them. But I also think in the Empire's view, at least if I remember my somewhat old canon, the humanoids were preferable. Like,
well, yeah, I get that 100%. I'm just thinking more, even just on the rebel side or on Ferrex. I just would have thought that there would have been more of the creatures front and when I say that I don't like it, please know that I'm exaggerating how much I don't like it, because I absolutely from top to bottom, left to right, inside, outside, front side, back side, I think the show has been absolutely amazing.
Well, so my thought is it could just be budgetary. That could be one thing. Like just, and I'm saying like if you're filming on location with aliens is way different than if you're filming in the volume. Like if you got to paint a whole bunch of extras to look like Twi'leks every day you're shooting some scenes. But I also wonder, and this is what I hope is more true, is just like the rebellion seems like a slow burn. Maybe that will be a plot point where they realize, hey, we have to bring, like, maybe the rebellion realizes that they're a little like racist, almost like the Empire. Like, hey, we got to bring other people in,
Yeah, especially considering, I mean, Akbar was a big part of the rebellion. We know that in Clone Wars, the Empire did a lot of bad stuff to Ryloth. So you mentioned Twi'leks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's but we did see the clone scene today.
Yeah, and that surprised me. Did that surprise you at all, John? How that played out?
A little bit. I was hoping for a little bit more, but happy that we finally saw it, because it's funny. As I was watching it, so I actually went into work early to watch it this morning. But like I was just sitting there thinking, like, I mean, I feel like we're getting a little bit far in this season. We still haven't seen the clones, and then 5 minutes later is when they show up. I'm like, spoken into existence.
Yes, I mean that was a flashback from 10 years?
It had to have been.
Because that would have been right at the end of the Clone Wars. And when does this take place? Is this 10 years
This
after?
is 5 years BBY, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, it's further along than Kenobi was.
Oh, it is further along?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so it would have happened right when the Clone Wars ended, right?
Yeah. Give or take a couple years, I mean, but yeah, that was.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who sets an early alarm. Looks like Art gets up early too.
Yeah, I get to hear Zoe brag about how she only has to stay up till midnight.
Yeah, it must be nice.
But yeah, I thought that was good, and then that woman's speech, his whatever, the lady with his mother,
adopted Marva.
Yeah, that whole speech of just that, like, she's ready to fight. She's been waiting to fight, all that kind of stuff.
Can we take a moment to talk about the number of actors that are in Star Wars that were also in Harry Potter?
yeah, I know.
Or the number of actors in Star Wars who were in Game of Thrones. I think there's something like close to 30 actors and actresses from Game of Thrones that have now made it into Star Wars.
Well, what they have to do is find out who those people's agent is, because that must be the world's greatest agent.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or wherever they went to school, because I think in a lot of the British actors are I don't know, I don't want to say they're better trained, because I don't want to bash the American trained actors, but I think there must be something with British actors. I mean, in Star Wars, and I understand a lot of it's from East Street Studios where they first started and stuff like that. But yeah, so yeah, that her speech, the whole last week's, like, I was thinking about this all week, which is a weird thing to think about. I was thinking about how that religious thing they used, as a cover for the heist, and then it made me think of this is my train of thought. And I was thinking of, like, genocide, and we all know what genocide is. It's terrible, wiping out of people. But then when conquering armies, they many times use genocide, but a lot of times they'll use cultural genocide, which is, though it's not as terrible as like killing whole groups of people, it's just as insidious in the sense that you take away things without people realizing, and then they can't overthrow you because you've taken everything away that would make them want to overthrow you. You've taken their sense of history, their sense of individual culture and all that. And then, so where do they go from there in a couple generations? And then that guy gave that speech about how they were building all those way stations so they get less and less. And then this episode, the one guy was saying how all religious things associated with any of this would be done and all this kind of stuff, so it's
amazing how, not saying that the earlier movies didn't have this, but just the sheer volume of those kind of historical connections are showing up in this show.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about socioeconomic kind of things, like the corporate businesses and that sort of stuff, or you're talking about persecution and genocide, or you're talking about some of the political aspects of this show that we have seen historically, and in some cases you could say are seeing.
Yeah.
And once again, every episode, including this one, Saw Gerrera's blasting in my ears. Lies. Every day, more lies.
Yep.
There's so much of it. So much
Oh,
lies
yeah.
in the show.
Yeah. Well, and you see that building of Andor. You see this Andor being built to who he becomes, and I think it was the Dad Batch. I think it was the Dad Batch that was talking about how when Cassian took that book from that kid, the woman gave him
The manifesto.
And they were saying, what if they take that manifesto and that's what gets loaded into K2SO's personality? Because, and then they were talking about the parallels of like where that kid right before he died was saying climb. And then you have the throwback to K2SO saying the same thing when he was getting destroyed in Scarif. So that could be a far-fetched theory, but that's a pretty. I was like, that could be, And then we had the guest appearance of those robots or those droids.
I was surprised of it. I'm like, is this happening? Is this what I think it is? And then it wasn't. And
well, you know what? You know what part of this show reminds me a little bit of? Have you ever watched that show 9/11?
No.
Okay, so it's a cop show. It's a it's
Reno 911.
No, 9/11. It's a new show. It's about like firefighters. It's about first responders. It's called, I don't know. It has I don't know, but anyway, it's become like one of its hallmarks is someone has this horrific accident and then the firemen come and save it, right? So in the later seasons, like just recently, you'll see a guy with a chainsaw standing on a roof cutting, and you're waiting. Okay, he's gonna like fall off and cut something, and then that doesn't happen, and then something like it's like a whole. They're almost trying to make you guess like when that tragic event is going to happen, and you think, okay, the chainsaw didn't work, but he's reaching for his ladder. The ladder's going to fall, and then that doesn't happen, and so it's like with Rogue One, and all these things are like, is that where he meets K2SO? Is that where this happens? Is that, you know what I mean? Is Saul coming around the corner at any minute? So I don't know. I'm so happy when I saw the Shore Trooper. I was like, oh, that is so cool.
In the Star Wars Riviera or wherever they were.
Yeah, it was like a giant. It felt like a sandals / cruise ship all in one. Now, was that was current, right? When it ended, or was that a flashback?
I think that was current.
Okay, because I was pretty sure
it was after he left Marva. It was after he left Marva, and is the girl's name Brix? What's her name? Blix?
Bix.
Bix. That's what it's Bix. So after Cassian left the two of them and went out on the run, I think it was current to that point.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I find so amazing about the show that we haven't had, and I would put money on this in anything else, we have not had this depth and detail of characters' stories like we're getting in this. And it's not just a character. We're not just paying attention to Luke. We're getting Cassian. We're getting Cyril. We're getting Deidre. We're getting Luthen. We're getting Mon Mothma. It's incredible how much we're learning about all of these characters in this short story format on this TV format that you just can't get from the movies.
Well, and I think people forget, like 30 minutes of a show, like if you take 4 episodes and you have 2 hours, 2 hours of a show is still way different than a 2-hour movie. I mean,
yep.
Because it's almost like you're getting twice as much in those short episodes because of the way that writing is. And I was like, when she met the banker, at that cocktail party.
When I saw the preview, I thought that was going to be Chancellor Valorum. That's what I thought that was going to be.
That's what I was going to say. That's who I thought it was at first, because I was watching it, and at that scene, I was like I was standing at the counter. I went to get a drink, and then when I turned around, they were talking. I was like, "Is that him?" And I had to rewind it. I was like, "Oh no, that's not him," because that's what I thought it was going to be. So I thought it was pretty funny though, because I think he was very surprised. I think he thought he was going to be like the badass like rebel, and then she's like, she kind of turned his words around on him. So
one of the other things I think is very interesting about this is they're subtly bringing in new makers, and it doesn't seem like the people who watch the show, the fans, the critics are picking up on it as much as they have in other series.
yeah.
So this arc that started with this episode today wasn't it ended with this episode, right?
Yeah.
So this
was this episode 7?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was 7? Okay.
Yeah, this was
so
7.
This is the beginning of the next arc.
Yeah.
This is a different director.
Yeah.
This one was done by Benjamin Caron, which is a director that we haven't seen in Andor or anything else Star Wars related yet.
Well, see, I wonder if, because we see things like we watch something, it was thought of, made, packaged, and sold to us way before we actually see it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if the Mandalorian, because that was a risk, as much as it could have went, the Mandalorian could have went either way, because it had all the elements of being a great show, but it didn't have Boba Fett. You know what I mean? Like, so on paper, depending on who you talk to, it looked really good and everyone was excited. And I wonder if they were just like, okay, what's our approach of marketing this so we can appeal to different people in case the first episode doesn't get them. So they said, okay, well, let's promote it under all the different people making it. Does that make sense? Like someone sitting before, because it still had to be a risk. I mean, it was a new Disney Plus format. I mean, and I think of pre-Disney Plus, think of all the apps that Disney ran and tried to show shows on. It was a nightmare to try to watch Rebels when they first came out, And
well,
so
that wasn't even on apps, wasn't it? Wasn't that on different cable channels?
It was on a cable channel, but then it was on. You had to have a special app if you didn't have the channel on your cable company. Like
I don't remember the app part.
We had paid our cable bill, but then we had to pay for an app because it wasn't on our cable around here. It was. And then we had to buy it on iTunes. That's what we had to do because it wasn't on our cable here for a while. So it was not Disney XD or something was the channel. But if you didn't have the channel, you had to pay for it as an app or something.
Oh, almost like a video. You bought the video of it or whatever, bought the episode.
Yeah, so.
But yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
They're not celebrating these directors like they did with the sequel trilogy, or even with Andor, or not Andor, but Rogue One. I mean, they talk about the director, they talk about the writer, and so on. And with this show, they're really, so far they've only been showcasing Dan Gilroy and Tony Gilroy as the writers. But they deserve lots of credit. Don't get me wrong.
But I'm saying, like, so you think of Mandalorian came off the heels of all the hatred for a very small minority of loud voiced people of some of the movies, And so that's what I'm saying. I wonder if how can we market this? And then how can we market this? And since Andor, at least Rogue One always seemed to dodge all the hatred, like people loved it, or some people didn't really like it, but they didn't really talk about not liking it. Rogue One always seemed to kind of be like that Teflon movie that everyone kind of liked. And I wonder if they were like, look, everyone liked it, so let's just stick with what's working, and because the only bumps that Rogue One had was this change of directors, which seemed to go for the best, and the commercial being shot with scenes that weren't in the movie. That seems to be the worst anyone ever had to say about that, I don't know. I just wonder how these, if they all have specific marketing, because it's the same with the volume. Depending on who you watch, the volume was the greatest thing ever, and then this shows they're like, we were filming on location, So,
Yeah,
I mean, I'll take it all. I'll take it all. They could film it all in a basement with green screen for all I care. If they keep writing like this, I don't care.
No, that's the Han Solo Chronicles. That's a different thing.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, that better get. I want to do some more of that too.
And one of the other cool things that I really enjoy about it is it's Star Wars. Yes, it's that part can't be denied, and it's different because this isn't like the Bad Batch. This isn't like even it's not even really like Rogue One either. It's
Right.
its own thing, and I think that is fantastic. Just like the original trilogy was different than the prequel trilogy, and the prequel trilogy was different than the Solo movie.
Yep.
So much is possible to be different and still be in the universe. So much is possible to be different and still be fantastic and connected to all of those things that we love.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I when that Star Destroyer went over that planet, when the girl was back at the camp, I was like, oh, that's worth it right there. I mean, I'm just curious if, like, we're definitely going to see Saul, right? But I'm still curious if we're going to see anyone else. Like, I would still love to see Krennic. I was hoping Krennic was the guy's uncle. Because at first,
Krennic.
when he was sitting there, when he was sitting in his apartment, at first glance, I thought out the window was the Death Star. Like, when I was like, wait a minute, what? And then it's like, oh no, that's just Coruscant.
See, I'm hoping for the silly things. Like I want them to either go by Dexter's diner or have Dex just show up somewhere for some reason. Like he's delivering the Uber Eats or something.
Yeah.
He's door dashing.
Well, he might have fell on hard times. Dex might have fell on hard times. So he might be. It might be Dex's food truck.
Which would be a really funny nod to Jon Favreau because he did that whole movie Chef about the food truck.
Yeah. Well, and the ISB that that whole exchange was awesome too, because I kind of knew that guy was going to like say she was doing really good. Like I kind of felt that all of her snooping was eventually going to, get her, like it was going to be looked at as a good light. So I kind of had that feeling, just but they made it happen so believable and so real that even though I was kind of thinking it was going to happen, it still was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. And of all of the costumes in all of these shows, that's the one that's one of the ones that Heather said she'd be willing to wear.
There you go.
She would wear the white ISB uniform. She's like, look, you could wear one and I could wear one. Like, okay, let's see how can we make that happen.
Well, you could get the one where John got his. Is nice.
It is. It's really, you need different pants, but the tunic itself is really nice.
Yeah, well, the pants you could probably. Yeah, this I can't, man. I cannot wear white after Labor Day. No, I can't wear white just because I would get it. I would get it dirty. Like I would get it dirty putting it on the first time. That's
You'd end up putting your hand in like a donut that somebody left on the table in the dressing room.
Yeah. That's
leaning up against a dirty chalkboard.
I remember graduation day in high school. I wore a white shirt and tie, and I shaved that. First time I ever cut myself shaving, and I got blood on the collar putting the shirt on. So I had to change my shirt. I was like, it's just been downhill from there. We rented a house when we first got married that had a busted well cap, so all the water was brown. So we had filters, but all my white was yellow for years. Like you washed it in the washer and it turned it yellow. It's just, and you can't say to an Amishman, "Hey, this is super important that we have clear water." They look at you like, "What? You got water, don't you?" It's not poisonous. Yeah, no, I like those. I mean, I've never really cared one way or the other for Imperial costumes, but what Rogue One and this show does to the Imperial costume, they just look really cool. I even like the guy the trader guy with like he had that like it was like a jacket with his and all those when they were on that planet. I gotta learn all these planet names. But I would love to see him go to Tatooine. I just think Tatooine should be in every Star Wars thing. It should just be like a way
Well, there's
station.
still time. I mean, there's still a bunch of episodes left in this season.
Or what if they
Well, we know they're going to Jeddah, or I'm gonna guess they're going to Jeddah.
what if they show the night of whatever things on Mandalore?
Night of
Night
a
of a
Thousand
Thousand
Tears.
Tears?
Yeah,
I don't think does that timeline match up, John?
I don't know when that happened.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I thought that was after the. I thought that was. I don't. Yeah, I don't know if it matches up or not. It would be
What if they
interesting.
bring
though.
in? What if they bring in a young what's his name? The guy who kidnapped Grogu.
Moff Gideon?
Yeah, young Moff Gideon, but he's like Cadet Gideon.
Just giddy up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and Cassian has a hit on him from the Rebels and the Imperials.
Yeah, he's not great at making and or keeping friends.
Yeah, we just need this timeline. Is the timeline book out yet?
I don't think so. Not yet. Not for this section of Star Wars.
No, but they have that book that's supposed to have it all somewhat. I don't know. Yeah, I just really liked what it did. I'm like that woman's story about going in the square with her husband hanging and stuff, which I never really thought of the Empire as a hanging group, but apparently they really like to hang people.
Well, I don't know if they hung him so much as they killed him and then displayed.
Yeah,
his body.
that's what I'm saying. Like that's
Yeah.
I mean that's like because I never picture the Empire being much more neat and clean. Like you just disappeared and you just never see him again. But
yeah, I was surprised. I will say I was surprised by that scene where the clone troopers turn and behave that way because it just seems so anti how they behaved before.
yeah, but
But
that's
then again, good soldiers follow orders. So
yeah. Well, they didn't show that whole scene, so we could get more to that scene. Like they could turn around, and then we could possibly see people throw stones or something at them, And that again, I still wouldn't be. I was thinking the clones were going to have a bigger part in this series. I was thinking there was going to be the Clone Rebellion something, But I'm happy with the way it's gone. Though we had to see Tim die again.
not that I'm laughing at his death, but
Now my other big thing is imagine the person that cleans Andor's room while he's in jail, and they find that big box of cash because he hid it up in the shower. You know that with all his credits and stuff.
yeah, because it looks like he's going to jail for a while.
10 years. Which that can't. He must. They got to break him out, right? I mean,
Well, from the trailer, one of the earlier trailers, it looks like there's some sort of a prison break of some sort.
yeah. I was hoping we'd get flashbacks of him on Mimban.
Working as a chef.
Well, no, I was just that would to me
Making
would have been
waffles.
that would have been the cool cameo of seeing like Beckett and his people walk by,
Or Han.
or Han, or
he serves Han some military flapjacks.
Yeah. Well, see, at first that's why I thought he was going to that ship that they flew. I thought it was going to be one of those haulers that they
Oh, the AT haulers that you were talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking they were going to take. But I don't know. Whatever they're doing, they can keep it up. I'm super happy with that. Um, you know,
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
it's
probably
definitely
watch
working.
it again tonight before I go to bed.
yeah. What'd you say, John?
I said whatever they're doing, it's definitely working.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's nice. It's nice for the variety. Like I just rewatched half of the half of the Book of Boba Fett. You know, and it's just nice. They're all different. They're different. They're the same enough to be Star Wars, but different enough to just give you a different. You know.
Well, and it confirms kind of what they learned from Rogue One and Solo, is that you can have incredible stories that aren't about the space wizard monks or
Yep.
Anyone with magic powers. That doesn't necessarily make Star Wars. There's so much more to it than that.
Now, do you think we'll see a lightsaber in this series, season
I
1?
doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lightsaber turned on, because you could see one in what's his name's shop sitting on the back.
Yeah.
Because I saw the Temple Guard helmet today when he was talking.
I must have missed that one.
I don't know why it stood out to me.
Yeah, there was slightly different angles of the shot this time than what we saw last time.
And it was on the Temple Guard helmet for a while, because I'm not like one of these people that pick all that stuff they showed other than Star Killer's helmet and that one suit of Mandalorian armor. I didn't see any of that stuff until I saw someone show pictures and I rewatched, because I just don't,
You're telling me you didn't see the rocks from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom?
No, I saw the whips, but I didn't know they were whips until someone pointed them out. I say, "Oh, that looks like carbonite," but I didn't notice the whips until they were pointed out on TikTok or Facebook or something. But this Temple Guard one I saw like sitting right there, because that was one of those things I was thinking of printing years ago with my 3D printer, because I was thinking if I printed like all four, I think there's 4 different styles. I just thought that would make a nice display, So, but yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious what we see. I'm curious how they launder this money through. I'm like Saul. Like I'm curious what Saul brings them, or if the money brings in Saul and his partisans.
Well, so we've seen from the beginning, we've seen like one big trailer, and we haven't seen all the parts that were in that trailer yet. And we've got 12 total episodes, so we're a little over halfway through the season.
Right.
So I wonder just how many more little surprises are in store for us.
Yeah.
I think this is, speaking of the trailer, I think this is the first time we have gotten over halfway through the show and not seen everything from the trailers yet.
Right.
Yeah, because before it would be what you saw in the trailer might have shown up in the first 1 or 2 episodes,
Right.
and all the rest was new. But we're, like you said, we're 7 episodes in, and there's still little pieces. Like for instance, in this episode, it was the speeder bike and the Star Destroyer flying, over the Aldani. That was in the trailer, and that's from the 7th episode.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting to see them. That Star Destroyer just barrage the locals, like just because I would assume this episode, the bulk of it, didn't take place that long after this heist happened.
No, I thought it was kind of like right after.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because even when he went back to his home planet, that girl's face was still all beat up.
Yeah, there haven't been jumps yet. I think the jumps may happen from this season to the next one, and then the next season there may be more jumps within it.
Yeah,
more time jumps within it.
I'm glad we still have 5 episodes left, though.
I know it's weird. I'm so used to this 8-episode format.
Yeah, because She-Hulk just finished. Did the House of the Dragon finish?
We have one more episode.
One more episode.
One more of that, and I think the Lord of the Rings one finished.
That one finished. Yep.
Yeah, and I also think now I know if you read some of this stuff, they're like, well, Andor's the least whatever rated, and whatever. But I do think the format and the style of storytelling fits in with the Lord of the Rings and the House of the Dragon. Like it's fit. It doesn't feel like a drastic jump when you watch any of those. You're in the same. Not that it really matters, but sometimes it does.
And what's interesting too is we're talking about shows that are on Netflix.
Right.
So these shows have that episodic nature where it's one episode a week versus 8 episodes all at once, and you get to watch it back to back to back to back to back.
Which we have next week with the Was it Tales of the Jedi?
Oh, it's just 2 episodes next week.
Oh, is it 2 episodes?
No, they're
That's
doing
what I
all
thought.
6.
Really?
I heard they were dumping them all.
It's because
wow.
they're shorts. They're not like feature episode lengths.
Yeah, I think they're like 15 or 20 minutes long or something like this.
Yeah.
Which they should be good. I love this. I love the Clone Wars style of animation. I mean, I like all of them, but that's the one that still is ingrained in me as Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm just utterly impressed by what we've been shown so far.
And we still haven't seen when Lucian's ship, Luthen's ship, because wasn't there a scene where it had like a cannon on top?
Yep, he was involved in a little space battle.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the space battle, it's funny that you mentioned that because the Star Destroyer in that space battle was one of the concept arts of Colin Cantwell for A New Hope.
Oh, nice. No,
Not
is
that
that?
Not that I pay attention to that stuff, but
Is that also the ones they used similar to in the Clone Wars?
There may have been 1 or 2 episodes with it in the Clone Wars, and I know that they made a couple concept art Matchbox cars with Colin Cantwell's designs.
Yeah, I'm because I'm wondering if that's his prison escape, or something. I'm just curious what if we're going to have any other cameos other than Saul, which I don't know. I go back and forth. I still would like to see some. I would love to see like Krennic, or at least referred to Krennic, Jin's dad,
Galen.
That's who I was thinking was going to be the engineer. Remember when they were said like a something engineers coming to that show? I was picturing it being like him or something,
I would. This is what I would like to see. I don't think it'll happen, but I would love to see it. I would love to see Jar Jar Binks in the Senate.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to say anything. Just be sitting like looking all sad and depressed in one of those Senate boxes.
Yeah, well, wasn't he like a jester?
Sort of. He was definitely an entertainer for orphaned children back on Naboo.
I didn't think that was. Is that still canon?
Yeah,
it was in one of the more recent novels.
Ah.
Yeah, it didn't show up in the movies anywhere or the shows anywhere, but it was. I think it was it a Charles Soule book?
I don't know. I just
one of the Aftermath books or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was in one of those books. Yeah, I don't know. I just, like even that, or see, Callus, Cadet Callus. Just like that. That's I know that I don't know if that's called fan service or Easter eggs or whatever you want to call it. Like something like that is I still like the good cameo that I can lean over to Missy and say, hey, that's such and such.
Yeah, to have it be related to a person rather than an object.
Yeah.
And to have it. So one of the things I like that I think is interesting about some of these things, these objects that we've seen. So the Naboo shield in the background, or the Cali Corey and Luthen's shop there. You know, super attentive Uber nerds like the three of us pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And I think the casual fan, if they saw Jar Jar Binks in a Senate box, they would know who he was. They would be able to make that connection. They would, oh, I remember that guy. You know, so to have both levels of connectivity would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's necessary. I just think it would be. I would like to see Jar Jar again because I'm such a fan of Jar Jar.
Yeah. Again, I wouldn't mind seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing the clones. Something like, you know, we haven't seen Cody yet. You know, and I'd still love to know what's up with Cody.
You got 3
Or
months.
even any of them. Who was that, John?
Oh yeah, for Bad Batch.
Yeah.
What if they just kill Cody off? What if the Bad Batch just like shoots him and he just gets an unceremonious end to
I'll
his...
never watch Star Wars again.
Ruined
Ruin
my
the whole
childhood.
franchise.
I will write a strongly worded letter to Kathleen Kennedy.
Have you ever seen that the fan film George Lucas Ruined My Childhood or whatever? Or that documentary?
No.
There's like a documentary about someone made it. And it's not poorly done. You know. Someone took a lot of their
I saw one. It was called like George Lucas versus the People or something like that.
Yeah, maybe that's the one. But that one wasn't poorly done. I mean,
No.
I don't agree with it, but it wasn't poorly done.
Yeah.
If you watch any of the 501st ones, though, Old Sarge is in every one.
Well, speaking of which, isn't there a new Netflix show that's supposed to be about the 501st?
Oh, is it? Well, there's the UK one on Amazon Prime.
Maybe that's what it is that I'm thinking of.
Which, it's okay. I would find a copy on YouTube of Heart of the Empire. Is way better. But the UK one's okay, but it's, I don't know. It makes me appreciate professional people that make movies, because the UK one and the Heart of the Empire both suffer from lack of editing. You know, like tightening it up a little bit.
They didn't have Marshall Lucas on their side of the
I guess it's just the Heart of the Empire. I have a copy. I had to buy it from Australia. It's a really good documentary about the 501st and stuff like that. And they do all these wonderful interviews. And they do some interviews with guys that aren't happy with it. But and the one guy who had some grievances, they did a good interview, but then they kept letting him talk. And it not only undermined his points, you know, because it made him look like he was a little bit whatever, but it also didn't help the film. It just, I don't know. I was sitting there watching. I was like, really? They put this right in the middle? But you know, I'd love to see. Have you seen Zoe made her short documentary, Trooping in the Family? Have you ever seen that one?
No.
That one, that was one of her college projects.
Is that on YouTube?
It is. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. I don't know. I think it was like her freshman year or something. But I can't. Well, not that YouTube. I got too many windows open. But there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good documentaries. I mean,
well, maybe that's some of the filming that we can do together while we're at Steel City, where we could be in costume and we could be interviewing fans about what they like so much about Star Wars, or what they like so much about us, or, you know, what do you like so much about Kylo Ren? Why is he your favorite character?
Do I have a crack in my cod piece? No, that's a whole other.
Can you see under my comma and see the crack in my crotch? My crotch crack.
My
is
crotch
that what you
crack.
said?
Yeah.
My crotch crack.
Yeah. I'd love to see some more. I'd love to see more panels. I'd love to see more some more documentaries. I know there's some good fan films being worked on. I think they're all in the same boat as Matt's in the sense that they just take so long, you know. Let me see. Oh, we have Ezra Bridger's Hero's Journey, but I don't know what that is. Rogue One. No,
I think the three of us should do like a big project.
I'm with you on that.
There's a guy in Pennsylvania who has a speeder bike that's attached to one of those motorized wheelchairs.
Oh yeah, that's Andrew Gilbert.
Like, I think the three of us should make one of those each and scoot around a con for a couple hours.
I just want one on one of those electric bicycles with mirrors on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Like
just
Rexing around.
Yeah,
You
like
mean like from the mods. What do you mean Rexing around?
No, Rexing around. He made one. He made a speeder bike, but he put it on one of those high end. I wouldn't put it on a Rex around bike because I can't afford one of those. But he put it on a bike and he rode around. I think New York. They put mirrors on the bottom. It looks at multiple glances. It looks like a land speeder. Like just look up Rexing around speeder bike.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think Zoe does have this on her. I probably have a copy of it. I'm sure I have a copy of it somewhere. But yeah, I just want another fan film of some sort. You know,
It's coming. Did you not see Matt's latest teaser?
I know it's coming, but I need dates. Until I see a date written down in my calendar, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm the one that had to make Matt pin down a date. Like
You need look. He's itching to film again. You need to start hounding him again.
I know, but see, he. I know what's going to happen. He's going to call me like in 2 weeks and say, "Now, how many stormtroopers can you get me next week?" And I'll be like, 0. I mean,
Buddy.
the first time I had to get him to commit to 6 months, and then we had COVID hit. You know.
Yeah.
And lucky for us, COVID hit because we would have never really got to meet John. But
Thanks, COVID.
yeah, there's a positive. You know.
Exactly.
That is weird that Dave got COVID at the convention, though. And he was the only one wearing a mask. So he might have got it somewhere else. Because we were all staying away. I consciously in public try to just keep my distance, you know.
Keep your distance, Chewie, but don't look like you're trying to keep your distance.
Yeah. Fly casual.
Walk casual.
Man,
Casual.
watching Marty and Chewie, man, it makes me want to get my Vader because my TKs are okay, but there's a if you're a thin person, your TK looks better than someone my size. It's just I'm the first to admit it. I'm fine with that. But in a Vader, I can have a sweet looking Vader. I want to get Vader done. I have to put the strapping in the helmet. That's the scary part because I got to drill holes in this helmet.
Ooh.
You know, so I got to put the strapping in, and I don't know
to drill holes.
Yeah, I got to rivet. I got to rivet in this. It has to be strong. Just on the back. You won't see it. Not in the dome. In the face.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I gotta put like a nice. I'll have to. It's reinforced fiberglass, but then I'm gonna have to put a rivet or some kind of, or cut a slit and put a nice piece of Velcro that can, like, I can put it on, Velcroed on around my head. I'll put a headliner in it. That's the first scary part. The second scary part is the dome just has a fitting, so the helmet doesn't lock in place. So I have to cut a slit on the inside of that to put a peg so it slides perfectly straight, and then put some rare earth magnets to hold it on.
Mm.
So that's the scary part. And I don't know if I'm going to put a fan, and I have to look for if Empire Strikes Back, if they have if he has screen behind the eyes. I can't remember if Empire Strikes Back has that or not. So, but I wore Marty's with a fan, and I can't deal because I could not hear a thing unless I get like a miracle ear or something like that and wear it, which I have thought about in costume. Because I imagine Mando buckets, you can't hear much with them on, can you?
Not a damn thing.
It
Yeah,
depends.
because
I don't have fans in mine, so
the TK is not too bad because you have the open ear caps and just the slight little cracks you can hear a little bit. Like my Sand Trooper, I can hear less because it's a tighter fit than my regular TK. But the Mando, that you don't have any catch. So, because I have thought in the past of like buying a miracle ear and like wearing it under my costume and just have a pinhole, like for the microphone to pick up sound. So,
Yeah, I still need to finish my TK. I've been looking at it. Well, I'm doing a Sand Trooper now, but
yeah.
I keep going downstairs and looking at that kit and just unfinished. It's like, God, I wish I wasn't so afraid to mess it up.
Well, if you again, the start at the legs, because if you mess up the bottom of your ankle, no one's going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I see too many guys like, I'm going to cut the chest piece first thing, and then they, But start with that, and if you like do the lower legs first, because those you can fit yourself, and
give yourself time to do it.
Yeah.
Don't do that in the middle of 3 other things that you have going on, like trying to do laundry and cook dinner and do this other thing. Like, just do this, even if it's just you do one leg today.
And Waltz, I'm sure, has videos, but Trooper Bay used to have awesome videos on how to do armor.
Yeah,
and Trooper Bay's that's who I use to weather mine. I use the Fuller's Earth. You can use acrylic paints too. It's just preference. I like the Fuller's Earth. I think
that just seals in with hairspray, right?
All sealed in hairspray. So if I ever decide I want to do a different style, and then if you do it all at once, so don't, because my one leg, I had to redo the one leg, and no one else can tell, like Mark, but I can tell the back looks slightly different because I did it at different times. So if I was really picky, I would just clean it all off and just redo the whole thing. But if you do it all together, like once you get it all assembled and dirtied up together, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Now is your Sandy, is that approved or is that?
No, it's not approved. It honestly, it needs some fit and finish, and it would be approved. I just haven't submitted it. It's mainly just I haven't submitted it because I want to submit it with a backpack. Marty keeps saying just do it without a backpack, but
yeah, just add a backpack later.
I know. I just honestly it's not in my. I kind of like it now because like I wore it with the droid builders. So even if someone wanted to say, I'm not wearing a 501st costume. Because see, you're not in that kind of garrison. Our garrison is they'd look at your tote. If I had like a 501st sticker, they would like, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't think I'm trying. The only thing I have to mess with is my pauldron and my, whatever magazine holder. I got to I got to put a piece of Velcro to hold the pauldron down. And I have to do that, and that's pretty much all I would need for approval, really. But
he gets distracted by everything else.
Yeah, it's not high on my list because I still I love my Sand Trooper, but I've just worn my TK for so long. That's just easier to troop in right now. So, but yeah, Sandy's easy.
Yeah, and I've got everything to do it. It's just a matter of getting the armor together, because everything. So I have. I think I lucked out. I think I managed to just be the perfect frame for the chest.
Yeah,
because all I did was I trimmed off the excess.
Yeah,
and everything fits like it should. So
yeah, just check the returns. And with just get a bunch of blue tape and CA glue. I like CA glue. I had E6000 on mine and I went back and changed it all to CA glue because I did a parade, and it was so hot out, the E6000 started to separate.
Yeah.
So, but if you get clamps, and then if you have even minor woodworking ability, if you lay like the leg down, trace it on a piece of scrap wood, cut that out, and then use that for your clamping bar. So it matches the curve of the the legs. So you make that, and then you do the two pieces, and you clamp it between, put wood clamps on them. It'll give you a nice bigger pressure. When you're using the CA glue, when you lay your strip, but lay it down, measure it, and put blue tape on both sides. So if any glue squirts out, it doesn't get on the armor.
Yeah.
So when you clamp it, and then I would especially the lower legs because they open up, but I would back everything with Gorilla tape.
Mm-hmm.
Just, or just to keep it, just get a roll of white Gorilla tape and just back all the seams, because the glue will hold up, but then if you would have an accidental drop or something, that tape will protect that glue from popping on you. And it keeps your seams. If you get those seams with the Gorilla tape, it'll protect your undersuit too from getting snagged on stuff.
Right.
Because those TKs will eat up undersuits.
Yeah, it ate up my one good underarm. Because I think it was your suit.
Yep.
Ate up my one good pair of my Under Armour tights.
Yeah. Yep, it beats it. It beats them up. And then I have snaps. Marty's a Velcro guy, so, and I agree with his. If you get good Velcro, and you can do CA glue with that too. You can CA glue and hit it with a zip kicker.
Mm-hmm.
But the Velcro, the nice thing about the Velcro is, like, if I have a malfunction, if a snap pops, I need someone to come help me. Where if it was Velcro, I can reach up in the general area and just get the Velcro back on. So.
Right. Yeah, I am a Velcro guy.
Yeah.
For everything but the calves.
Yeah.
The calves, I feel like you have to use snaps.
Well, and I would put your calves on a belt on your trooper. Don't have them hang off your armor.
The calves? Or are you talking about the thighs?
Thighs. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thighs.
I was gonna say that'd be a really
That's a really long
stretch.
Your thighs should hang off a belt. Yeah, your calves you could just Velcro. You could wait a minute. Your calves, you're putting snaps on your calves? Oh yeah, I have snaps on my calves.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because the way my legs are shaped, I've got very thin thighs but very large calves.
Yeah.
And Velcro, it just does not agree with me.
Yeah, now my Sand Trooper has Velcro on the calves. But I just put that one elastic strap to hold it shut. It's good. I've seen people use bra hooks. Have you ever seen that method?
Mm-hmm.
So where they put the hook and it hooks them shut. That to me just has to be way too precise when you're trying to suit up. That's like one of those things. If you're wearing the suit and you have a person to suit you every time, and you have like an hour and a half to suit up. So.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, so the snaps, Velcro, elastic. The other thing, we had a guy that did almost Centurion level TK, and his leg straps, he used strapping instead of elastic. So when he put it on, it looked good, but then his legs wouldn't move, when he tried to walk. So you need elastic in the legs. That's our armor talk for today.
And we didn't even give a recipe out or do too
No.
much car repair, although Marty did show us some car parts, if that counts.
His DeLorean should be done soon too. He just took his DeLorean to get a fuel filter put in, or a fuel pump.
As long as I can take it back in time and buy Star Wars toys for $1.59, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen his DeLorean yet either, so he got an all-white DeLorean, or not? I haven't seen his Tesla yet. But
Did he get the
white
white interior?
Yeah, white one with a white interior.
God,
He
jealous.
might not allow you in it.
Oh, probably not. I told him I want to go out
If you can't wear white, you shouldn't ride in white.
I want to
either.
go get a meatball sub, a vegan meatball sub, and eat it on his front seat. So,
It's a good thing it's leather. And actually, I've been inside of Teslas. They're
Yeah.
quality leather.
yeah.
Well, you can't ride in a Tesla then because it's leather.
I
Oh, yeah.
buy it, as long as I didn't buy it. I rode in whose Tesla did I ride in?
Anthony's.
Anthony's. Yeah, that was it. I rode in Anthony's Tesla. That's pretty. It's pretty cool. I mean, Anthony's, like, I'm driving a 2007 Scion XB with 260,000 miles on it. My car is probably worth like what his one tire on his car is worth. So
It is not real leather. It is synthetic leather.
there you go.
Ooh, safe.
That makes sense. I mean, that's more the like my fake leather Doc Martens last way longer than my leather Doc Martens ever did. So, but I pay an extra $20 for them too. So.
I think we did another awesome episode tonight, guys.
Yeah, man,
Absolutely.
it was fun. I mean, we got Andor is like one of those things where like it's proven that you can make a good weekly show. Well,
Yeah.
all these new weekly shows, there's a confidence level in these shows that all of them, like Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragon, Andor, that they don't have to dump them all at once.
Yeah, and another interesting thing about it too is this show, unlike the originals, and in some ways unlike the prequels, they're using really seasoned actors and actresses for some of these spots.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not Pedro Pascal, sorry, Diego Luna is no slouch as an actor.
Right.
And I'm not saying Mark Hamill was a slouch as an actor, but when he was in A New Hope, he was not a seasoned actor. He was, you know, but man, they really, really do a great job of delivering their lines and showing the conflict, the frustration, and or lying with a straight face.
Yeah. Well,
again and again and again.
And even the character actors, like every actor on Andor seems as good as the next. You know, like even Tim, who I didn't like, you know, it just seems like a good well-rounded crew of people. And I think that's one thing Star Wars has always had is that variety of people on camera. I don't want to start a whole new tangent, but it's more like if you watch Battlestar Galactica, and I have a lot of friends in the Battlestar Galactica costuming group, so I have high respects for all those, and Howard and his Cylon and all those guys. But if you look at Battlestar Galactica and you look at all the people, background, I'm not talking about the new one, I'm talking about the old one. There was no like normal looking people. Like they were all actor grade looks or model grade looks. You know what I mean? And they all looked like that. Where, you know, Star Wars, it looked like, you know, Uncle Owen looked like he could be someone's uncle. You know, and
Maliki looked like he could be a circus performer.
Right.
Or Malkili, if I'm pronouncing it right.
It's just that, you know, I don't know why movies took so long to get that look, because TV shows did it. Like if you watched most TV shows, maybe it's just budgetary thing for, well, we can get a bunch of normal looking people a lot cheaper and just put them on a TV show. I don't know, but that's just one of those aesthetics that goes with Star Wars, I think. But hopefully we'll get more aliens, right?
I'm hoping for more aliens.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Listen to all of our podcasts. Beskar Bucket. what's the forces behind Star Wars?
The forces behind Star Wars.
Star Wars Geek Girl coming up on her 7-year anniversary. I would highly recommend the Dad Batch and Armor Party.
And Father and Son Galaxy.
Father and Son Galaxy. They just did an interview with someone from Chicago, a live interview yesterday. I jumped on. Yeah, Father and Son Galaxy. They are Keith and Kerwin are also looking to do like library events and stuff. So if the
Really?
Mando Mercs ever need like a little MC, man, give Keith a call. So,
Where are they from?
huh? They are from Philly. Right
Really?
outside-
I
yeah,
did
they're
not
from
know
Philly.
that.
Yeah. So
I
anyway,
guess.
how about we close this one off and then we'll finish up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for another great one, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna end this stream.